places of worship will now resume their full capacity, with all elderly and the vulnerable encouraged to physically attend worship in new guidelines of the phased reopening of places of worship. The Interfaith Council for National Response to the Coronavirus Pandemic has further lifted limitations of attendance and timings in funerals and weddings, while advising Kenyans to continue wearing masks while observing all measures of hygiene in places of worship. Putin himself has that report.
In March 2020, the government suspended all public gatherings and religious meetings as the Minister of Health embarked on a journey to trace contacts of the first case of the deadly COVID-19 disease, the then coronavirus that had just been confirmed in the country. As the cases went down and the new ways to fight the disease like vaccines were invented, so was the National Emergency Response Committee, which included the Interfaith Council for National Response to the Coronavirus Pandemic, was expected to review the measures in a journey to return operations back to normal. The gradual reopening of places of worship began in July last year, when President Uhuru Kenyatta partially lifted some restrictions imposed on places of worship. 2 years into the pandemic, the religious leaders say that God has finally answered their prayers.
We sincerely thank all the religious leaders who have relentlessly abided by the guidelines in the places of worship and taken the front line in educating and encouraging the citizens on the need to live up to the various guidelines. We therefore now advise that the places of worship can resume full capacity according to the phase 4 of the guidelines of phased reopening of places of worship.
The Interfaith Council for National Response to the Coronavirus Pandemic has further lifted limitations of attendance and timing in funerals and weddings, but advising that people should not lower their guards yet, as the danger still hung on.
The time limits for the services is also lifted. All elderly and vulnerable can now attend the worship. We commend, at the same time, that it would be highly advisable that they be vaccinated. We continue to be concerned about the political gatherings that have totally ignored any measures of protection and the manner of crisscrossing of our nation.
However, no proof of vaccination will be required before one is allowed to enter any place of worship.
We still advise that all must continue wearing masks in the places of worship. We will continue to observe all measures of hygiene by washing hands or sanitizing before and after the worship services, as well as in all moments where handling shared items.
The announcement comes barely a week after the government lifted the mandatory wearing of face masks in open places, even as it further eased the COVID-19 restrictions after the country maintained a low positivity rate.
We are encouraged by the uptake of vaccination and encourage as many Kenyans as possible to receive the jab.
Museo, Lunchtime News.